evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Guillermo Rojas and I'm reporting from CAW Center. In today's news, we will focus on to what extent is the nation of Armenia achieving its macroeconomic objective. In other words, we will leave it to our economic analysts, David Claremont and Andres Rojas, to discuss upon how close is Armenia to having low inflation rate, economic growth, low unemployment rate, and equity distribution of income.
Thank you, Guillermo, for the introduction. So when it comes to analyzing Armenia's economy,
it is important to highlight and keep in mind that they are experiencing an economic growth of 3.5% compared to 2016 when they only had a 0.2 increase. This drastic increase allows us to assume that Armenia's economy is now between the recovery and expansion phase of the business cycle. This growth could lead to a right shift of 80 to 81.
As a result, employment and price levels should increase as shown in the graph.
However, it is important to turn our focus to inflation. Armenia is recovering from a deflation rate of negative 1.4% in 2016 to an inflation rate of 1.9% in 2017. Part of this is due to the economic growth and demand pull inflation. However, economic growth is not the only cause of inflation. It is possible that there is a cost push inflation shifting the SRAS curve left to SRAS 1 due to a rise in costs for businesses. In other words, there is an increase in average price level resulting from a decrease in aggregate supply. As a result, there is a decrease in real output and employment. It could be speculated that the rise on costs for businesses is due to Armenia being landlocked and depending on its neighbors. Furthermore, by not having a good relationship with its surroundings, Armenia heavily depends on high-value imports from Russia such as electricity, oil, and machinery. Consequently, businesses' cost increases, especially on wages, leading to the firing of workers and an increase on unemployment.
Although the inflation may seem great for someone who's not an economist, because price levels decreases, it can lead to a decrease of consumption and demand from consumers. This means that households and firms prefer to postpone spending until prices are lower in the future. By doing so, the decrease in consumption could lead to a deflationary spiral in which the economy goes into a recession and rising unemployment constantly.
That's right, David. Therefore, it is important and positive that Armenia's economy is now undergoing a low inflation rate. This means that inflation rate is between 1% to 5%. Low inflation leads to a high demand of consumption from households and firms, which injects money to a circular flow model. The reason for the increase of consumption is due to the households and firms having more confidence in the stability of prices in the future and not being scared of possible alterations in the value of the economy.
Wow, it's incredible how the increase and decrease of inflation in an economy can alter the confidence of consumers. Moreover, another way of looking at the effects of inflation is through the Phillips curve.
As shown in the diagram, Armenia's economy used to be at point A. Due to economic growth and shift of 80 to the right, there is an upward movement along the curve to point B, which increases inflation and employment rate. Consequently, there is a right shift to the Phillips curve to point C, as a result of the left shift of the SRAS curve in the AD and AS graph. This leads to an increase in unemployment rate and equal inflation rate.
I totally agree with you, David. Similarly, I believe that the increase in economic growth and inflation has incredibly advantages to Armenia. This is said so because it can be assumed that households will be more motivated to spend and consume goods and services. Yet, as everything in life, there are advantages and disadvantages to an event. Therefore, if we put our focus to unemployment, we'll be able to realize the negative aspects of inflation.
Well, Andres, Armenia is in a pretty unique and very complex situation in terms of unemployment rate.
Armenia has now one of the highest unemployment rates all over the country at an increasing 18.9%. They are 182nd out of 218 countries.
It is possible that one of the reasons for this high percentage is that Armenia is now facing structural unemployment.
This means that unemployment is increasing due to changes in the structure of demand for labor. For example, the imports of machinery and technology could be substituting employees in Armenia.
That's right, David. As mentioned previously, Armenia heavily depends on Russia for high-value goods. These high-value imports could be considered one of the main reasons for their high unemployment rate. Apart from high wages, new technology replacing workers, the depreciation of Armenia's currency could be another factor to high unemployment. Although Armenia is undergoing inflation, its currency is still depreciated compared to other countries. Therefore, the import necessary goods to Armenia cost more than it should, whereas exports are cheaper to other countries. As a result, businesses in Armenia are forced to fire employees in order to be able to obtain those high-value goods.
But Andres, I believe that this goes even further to the firing of employees, but instead, what happens when they are fired? This high rate of unemployment is highly damaging to the people as well as Armenia as a whole.
For example, it could lead to a decrease of household income, which reduces the household ability to buy the necessities and therefore reduces the standards of living of the unemployed. This would serve as evidence for the 32% of the population being below the poverty line.
Another effect of unemployment is the underutilization of the resources, such as not achieving its production possibilities or decreasing people's standards of living. In other words, by not using the resources at its maximum capacity, Armenia's economic growth of 3.5% could be much higher.
Wow, this really seems incredible, and I feel much more up to date to what's happening in Armenia. Yet, we will have to leave the rest of the conversation after a commercial break. And we're back. So just to catch you up on what happened. Two of the greatest economic analyses are discussing upon to what extent is the country of Armenia achieving its macroeconomic objective. I will leave it up to you guys. Thank you, Guillermo. Now, although the nation's unemployment rate is very high to a point that they are failing the unemployment macroeconomic objective, Armenia is one of the countries with the lowest increase in equity and maintained 31.5% through 2013 and 2014. This means that income is equally distributed to the people of Armenia. Also, by being 123rd in the list of 156 countries in the Gini Index, Armenia is considered a country with very high equity.
But Andres, although this may seem like an accomplishment for Armenia, in this case it's not fully beneficial.
Armenia's 31.5% increase in equity comes partially from their 32% of the population being below the poverty line, meaning that around 1/3 of the whole population of the country is equally as poor.
Such a high number of poor people and low equity means that the people below the poverty line are all making around the same little amount of money.
So, are you saying that one of the factors that makes the increase in equity so low is the 32% of the population being below the poverty line?
Well, that's right, which proves that although Armenia has a little increase in equity, it might not be as beneficial as it would seem.
Overall, Armenia is meeting this macroeconomic objective at an impressive rate, even though it doesn't benefit society, meaning that the government should work on decreasing the percentage of people below the poverty line and still maintain its equity.
Wow, guys, that's amazing. Sorry for interrupting, but due to time constraints, we have reached an end. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing your knowledge with us. But just as a summary, we could say that Armenia is achieving all of its macroeconomic objectives except for low employment rate.
That's right, Guillermo, and thank you for inviting us.
Well, that's great. My name is Guillermo Rojas, and this is CAW Center. Hope you have an incredible day. I will leave it to Pablito Perez to talk about the incidents in Panama after a commercial break. Stay tuned.